wine and cheese at Christmas, open everything up, and have people come on in, see what's going on, and have wine and cheese. And
So people in those years, people were coming to Presque Isle. There were things
it
going
was
on in
busy.
Presque Isle.
It was
very
busy,
busy.
yeah. And
Well, there were
then
still a lot of resorts. I
there
mean,
were
but
yes, there
it's-
still were some
yeah.
resorts, and though we had more businesses too, we also had not just my gift shop. John and Nancy were up there, and
Yeah.
they had furniture.
What was theirs?
Yeah,
Theirs, they
custom
made
furniture, lamps,
Custom furniture and lamps and
woodworking things.
tables and things that were very lovely.
It's called
and,
Artisan Industries, they called that.
Artists and
Yeah,
industry?
Artisan Industries.
Mhm.
They were up the road, and then Dave Zastro, after a while, came in with his little gift shop there, and then Lucille Eschenbach across the street from where we were had her little gift shop, and John had things in there that he made.
Oh, yeah.
So there were quite a few little businesses that could be, bringing people in to see what they had there. And
In the
I
winter,
think-
was there enough snowmobiles that you had businesses in the winter?
Yeah,
too?
it was open all the time.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So were there social events going on then
Oh,
too? I mean, you
constant.
mentioned wine and cheese.
Yeah.
Like what sorts of things would?
Well, all the weddings were held in the gymnasium. We had a lot of that at that time when we first moved there. The 60s, most of this took place. And the Snow Bunnies always had a dance. We were always getting dances put together, and
Valentine's dance, I remember.
Valentine's dance, and then we had, I think it was the chamber though, when we got involved with the wild game feed.
Mhm.
We had that in October. We had a special thing we had a venison dance and dinner one November, I remember.
Like a harvest.
And that was all held at the American Legion. And that was not easy to clean the American Legion to get that ready for dances.
The
and
American
things.
Legion where it is now?
Correct, yeah.
But in the summertime, the Legion was open all the time. They had a little bar there.
Yeah.
They had a little beer bar, and I remember dances there.
Oh, yeah.
Almost every weekend they had something going on there.
Well, not quite that
Maybe,
often,
but
I guess,
quite
yeah.
a bit.
But the American Legion, the men that were involved in it, opened it more
Right.
frequently, I
Yeah,
think.
they
I
did.
don't know if it's even open now.
No, it's
on
not.
a regular basis.
It's not, but I remember Clavey when he was, he would bartend
Sure,
there.
yeah.
And they would get the older men to bartend, but it's just
Yeah.
basically a beer and sodas.
Okay.
Right.
But they did have a big dance floor area.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was
they
a nice place, and of course
Yeah.
it was right next to the pond,
Yep,
so it was pretty in the summer evening.
yeah, and that's where
do
we
that.
used to have the fireworks go off too, was
Okay.
off there, and you could sit there and watch.
So would the Snow Bunnies have been sponsoring those things too, like the wild game feed, or was the Chamber of Commerce?
I think that was a chamber. of
Chamber was in
Commerce.
operation
yeah,
by
they were
then.
more for that sort of thing, and we had a lot of people. We would
Tell more
year-
about that wild game feed. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Walleye, we were able at that time. You couldn't serve walleye at that time out of the lakes. You had to buy walleye. We had to buy it from Canada to
Really?
bring it in. Yeah, and but that was okay. Now you can't even do that. I understand. I don't know where do they get the fish now.
Well,
But
still
anyway,
Canada.
they'd have all these fish, and we'd be girls would be in the kitchen, and we'd be, preparing all the fish to be put out into
So
the
what
deep
time of year
fryers.
would this be?
Well, that was
A lot
when
of
it was warm.
yeah, that was in the summer.
That was a
That
summer
either
event.
was July.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think that was a July thing.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, Ginny. I interrupted.
That's all right. No, that's fine because I don't know what all you want to know.
So, but
Walleye fry.
go ahead. And so you said the women would be back.
Yeah, we were in the kitchen and we made all the coleslaw and the potato salad and everything that went with the fried fish. And I remember because I was the secretary, I think, at that time.
Of the chamber.
Secretary, or maybe I was just in charge of the day
Mhm.
because I added up, we had like 478 people one day.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
That you
I
served
never
a fish
forgot
fry
that
too.
amount.
That you served a fish fry too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never forgot that amount because I couldn't believe, that sticks in my mind.
That
amount
is
we
unbelievable.
served.
Yeah, that's a lot.
We had a lot of people, and
And is that,
know where
did
they
they
came
start the, in the winter, they started their, ice fishing thing on the,
Oh, the
on the lake?
jamboree.
The jamboree, that was a
In
big thing.
February.
In
That's
February.
right. Yeah.
Big tent on,
On State Line
State
Lake.
Line Lake.
Yeah, that was on
That was
State
the
Line all
Lions
the
Club.
time.
Yeah,
Lions
the
Club.
And
Lions
that would have
Club.
been in the
February.
70s probably?
Yeah, it was-
60s, 70s?
I would say in the 70s. It was going when we were.
Yeah,
When we first
Okay, and what was the ice fishing jamboree then?
that, the Lions Club.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they had, men would go out and with their augers and, and drill holes in the ice for whoever wanted to fish. And then there'd be prizes for who got the biggest one, crappie or the other one, whatever fish they caught. And then there was a tent where we went in to have coffee royal.
State Line Coffee.
State Line Coffee.
Yep, coffee royal. You had brandy with coffee.
Mhm.
Kept us warm. And then you could buy hot dogs or I forget. We'd have chili. I remember that we'd have chili sometimes. I think we always had hot dogs. I don't know.
I think you were almost starting to try to get something going almost every month of the year because then,
Yeah.
too, in the 70s, they started the lobster feed.
Oh, that's right.
That the Lions
was
started.
a big thing. Yeah, that was really something.
That must have been a big deal in the 70s.
Oh, it was.
That
And,
was John Olson. Tell about that, how you started that.
well, the Lions got it going. I don't really remember who got that started.
I
other
heard
than
the story
Lions
was
put
John.
it
It was
together.
John Olson's idea
Oh,
to
okay.
try to get a live lobster feed going in April or right around the time fishing started, just before fishing started. They have something for people to to come up and they're opening up.
Well,
their
the
cottages
first
and all
one
that.
was not April.
It wasn't,
It
huh?
was February.
Oh wow.
The lobster.
Yeah, because the lobsters came from Maine, and they were shipped into Ironwood, as I recall. I think it was Ironwood that they were dropped off. Maybe Rhinelander, but I think Ironwood. And two or three guys would go up and get them, bring them back, and that would be like the morning of all this going on. And the whole idea was you threw the lobsters out in the piles of snow, and so. And then they said, "Now pick out what you want."
Oh, you could grab it out of the
that's
snow?
And we said,
Oh, I
I
didn't know
want
that.
that one, or
Yeah.
I want that one, and of course, who knows what they got,
Yeah, right.
but still and all, that was a fun thing,
Mhm.
and it was at Skyview. That was the first one. The second one, I think, too, and it was at Skyview for a while, and then I think it was Spence and Jane owned Skyview at that time. And we just took over the whole place, kitchen, everything, took it over. And that was a wonderful thing. I mean, it got so that people, they were coming from all over the place to get in on that lobster feed. It was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Was
Because
the, was the wild game feed in the fall then?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, it was.
And what kind of did people in town do the hunting then for the wild game feed, or where did the food come from?
Chet, I remember, had a bear he'd donate, and he maybe donated more than one or two. I can't remember that. I know we bought one time from someplace. Oh, the man who owns a resort right on P. He used to own a Chicago restaurant where they served wild game, and I cannot think of his name.
Well, that was Sunrise at the time.
Yes,
It was
right.
Sunrise.
And that
He owned a
man,
restaurant in Madison. I
Madison,
might be able
okay.
to come up with the name, but I don't recall right
I don't either. And he was the one that we had to buy a venison one time from, and I'm sure a bear too. I kind of
But
remember
some of the
that.
local trappers too. I remember there were beaver. They served beaver.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And then some of the ones that have been out hunting out west had some like antelope or mule deer, things like that they would contribute to.
I don't remember any of that, but I do know that we had bear and venison.
Were you involved in preparing it?
Yes,
Or did they-
no. Yes, I was, because Willie Royak was our chamber president, and Willie took all of the venison and the bear at that time to Roy Russell, and he would debone everything and get it all seasoned and wrap it up, and then Willie would deliver it to all of us whoever volunteered to bake some of
Uh-huh.
this stuff. And then we would bake, maybe everybody baked 2 roasts, 3 roasts, something like that. And then we would take it in, you know,
Okay.
to be sliced and taken care of at the thing.
Roy Russell, was he, at the time, was he running one of the grocery stores?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, he worked at both Marinesco and Presque Isle grocery stores. And, actually, Roy was in that store when we first came. He had just moved there in November. We came in April, and we moved here in May. 2 weeks after we bought the place, we moved here, and then who else? Oh, what was his name? Clarence. Do you remember Clarence?
Clarence Childers. Clarence Childers.
And he worked at the other grocery
Yes.
store in town, which was the Red Owl grocery store, and that was where John Olson started his business. When the Red Owl store went kaput, then John looked over the business and thought it looked good. In fact, I think my husband went with him and they checked it out and thought it was
He
pretty.
bought the building for
Yeah,
his.
bought the building then and put his business in
And that was that furniture shop
Artisan,
they
Yes,
had.
artisan
right.
industry.
Okay.
Yeah, that was that.
And what was the name of the grocery store that Roy Russell had? If one was the Red Owl,
Mm-hmm.
the other, do you know what?
The black and white, wasn't it called, was that the?
No, I don't think it had a name.
Okay,
It was
I mean, it
just-
doesn't matter. I
Oh,
just
No,
wondered.
I don't think
I
it was.
just remember that from Chet's thing. He said
Yeah.
something about another one
Yeah.
called.
Yeah, I
Black
don't,
and
that
white
might have
something.
been before.
Yeah, maybe it was.
So you were
because-
busy. So you in the fall you had this wild game feed.
Yeah.
In the summer you were doing big fish fry for the community,
Yeah.
and in the winter there were Valentine's dances and snowmobile
Oh, yeah,
parties.
and
things
all
and-
kinds of dances all the time.
Uh-huh.
There was never a month went by there wasn't a dance or two somewhere. The taverns used to have dances and bring a band in. You know, nobody does anything like that anymore. It's just a completely different. It's not. It just doesn't seem as social as it used to be.
Well, that sounds terribly social.
It was
Uh,
social. Yeah, it was like everybody was in the same boat more or less. You're all trying to make a living, you know, and you're all coming up with an idea. What might bring the people in? You know, who might come to do this or who might come to do that. So there was always a whole idea network going, you know, to keep
So,
on top of things.
Were you ever part of a community with the? Was it the summer people and the people who were running the town? I mean, you were kind of your own society. The
Yeah, I would say so.
summer people would come and go,
Yeah,
and
right. Although there were a lot of them that would always volunteer to help, you know.
uh-huh.
If they
From-
knew you
from the
well
summer
enough, and
bunch.
sure,
Mhm.
they'd want to, you know, come in and help and do things. That worked out fine. And then in '82, I think it was that Jackie Beekman Bassett was,
Mhm.
and I and Karen Beekman and Tom and Betty Forrester, that we were over at Tom and Betty's house one night trying to figure out what to do to have something in the early summer, and decided on a art and craft fair. And that
Oh.
was in
Country fair.
'82, and that's a country fair. And, and Tom probably is one of the best PR men you could ever get to advertise anything, because he had people coming in off of Highway 2 going past Marinesco and heard it on the radio and pulled down and came into this fair.
Well,
It was
he had
a
the local
big hit.
newspaper at that time
And then
too.
they had the Walleye
Walleye
Street
Street
Journal.
Journal.
And it was a great little paper. And so he was kind of, you know, pushing this, and it worked out just fine.
And it's
that
still
was a
going.
fun thing.
And it's
And
still
it's still
going.
going now.
Has it
That's
stayed
right.
pretty much the same, or how is it different at the beginning?
Well, we didn't really charge that much, you know. I know they charged for a while to enter
Uh-huh.
the fair. We never did any of that.